do it to me.
Fair enough. All right, so let's tell you a little bit about Spoiler, and that means cover our asses. Spoiler is a comedy presentation. It is not X-rated. It is not 18+, but we sure do swear a lot.
It is R-rated. It is definitely R-rated. We swear a lot. There are pictures of dubious. Well, look at the picture on the screen right now.
And you might see my boobs.
That is, I would say that's representative.
Our subtitle is 7 Years of Cyborg Man Penis Edition.
We like that picture.
So, that's a picture from, we'll end up spoiling that
picture
eventually.
is more or less as bad as it gets, so if you're not offended by that picture, and you're not offended by strong language, and you're not offended by adult humor, then you're probably okay.
But before we actually get started, I actually want to go into a little bit of the history of Spoiler. Spoiler, God, we've been doing this for 7 years. We've had, what?
Lightweight.
Yeah. Thank you. We've had ups and downs. We've, played Comic-Con. We've played Otakon. I even got to do some spoiler bits at E3 one year. But it all started at AUSA. AUSA, one year, we went to a panel about narrative in RPGs. And I talked about Aristein, and someone got really upset that I mentioned Aristein. And he was like,
and how old? At that point, how old was Final Fantasy?
I don't even remember, 7, 10, 20, a lot, yeah, 10 years. And so people got really upset for, no statute of limitations there. So we were, in our hotel room later, drinking
in the hotel room.
apple juice.
Yes. It's bourbon.
Delicious fermented apple juice.
And
some barley.
I said, what would be great? A panel where the only thing we did was spoil things.
And then we immediately started spoiling things.
And the rest is history. So I really want to thank Anime USA for giving us a place to do this stupid humor. I want to thank Adam Hennessy for repeatedly helping us get back here. I want to thank you guys for constantly coming out. And we now have spoilers. You can clap. We now have spoilers. We now have spoilers from all the way back to the very beginning when we had no idea what we were doing and listing people from anime who we thought were Jesus. And all the way up to modern day where we have Cyborg Man Penis. So we hope that you enjoy. But you guys voted for this. You went on our website, you filled out the form, and you drilled us on it. So let's start.
Dim the lights.
Dim the lights, please.
Dim it all. At least over,
Little.
by the
Yes.
projector.
No. Yes.
He's working on it.
Cool.
Whoa,
All right.
okay,
Yeah, there we go.
Kill the floodlight.
A little bit.
Somebody drop the disco ball.
All right.
Okay.
So let's not pull any punches and start with a spoiler that you all voted best spoiler of all time. Yes, now we can't read.
That was a little too much.
All right.
All right. If that's
We're
what
getting
it
it.
is.
We're getting it. We're
I'm
getting
pretty
it.
sure that spoilers is a little technical difficulty.
Things were running
This
too
is
smoothly.
fine. This is fine.
All right.
Yeah. Let's not pull any punches and start with the spoiler that you voted as best spoiler of all time. Beck.
Yeah.
Beck is a story about a band named Beck, except it has nothing to do with the real band named Beck. Beck, the anime band Beck, got its name from a dog named Beck, as opposed to the real band named Beck, who may have also gotten its name from a dog named Beck, but a different dog named Beck with a dog named Beck in the anime Beck. Beck, the real band Beck, exists within the anime Beck as an inspiration to Beck. I mean the anime band Beck, not the dog Beck, neither the anime dog Beck nor the real dog Beck. This means that the real dog Beck also exists within the anime Beck, but is still separate from the anime dog Beck, even though the real dog Beck in the anime Beck would be an anime dog named Beck, but not the anime dog named Beck, but the not real anime band Beck from the anime Beck got the name Beck from. Beck, the not real dog, not anime dog, not real anime dog, not real band, not anime real band, not anime but in anime band Beck, had copyright issues with the real not anime band Beck. However, these copyright issues were not real copyright issues, they were anime copyright issues. In the anime Beck with the anime real band Beck, which forced the in-anime not real anime band Beck to change its name to Mongolian Chop Squad in Anime America. This solved the not real anime copyright issues the not real anime band back named after the not real anime dog back had with the real not real anime band back named after the real anime not anime real dog in anime dog back for the anime back, not the anime band back, but the anime without real copyright issues back. Ha. Actually, I think this makes everything a lot simpler. Okay, let me start over. Back is an anime about a band named Mongolian Chop Squad. Okay, I'm done.
I still can't define the logic of
Well, now here's something equally repetitive. 999. 999 is a new multi-ending visual novel for the Nintendo DS. The object of the game is to solve numerous point-and-click puzzles while trying to make the correct decisions over the course of a complex story in the hopes that you survive to the end. You play as Junpei, a college student who was kidnapped by the mysterious terrorist Zero. You and 8 other people must find your way off a sinking ship within 9 hours or bombs in your stomach will explode. In the end, it doesn't really matter what you do because a mysterious man with a knife murders everyone on board. And then Junpei gets stabbed in the back and left to drown in the depths of the ocean. The end? Fuck! I got the bad ending. Hold on, let me start over. 999 is a new choose-your-own-adventure style game from the Nintendo DSi XL 3D. Okay. The object of the game is to play it over and over again, altering your decisions a little bit each time in an attempt to stop failing and get the good ending. The game calls it looping time travel, but we know better. It's idiot insurance. You play as Junpei, the slacker college student who's on a quest to, hey, look at that girl's tits. Junpei is captured by the terrorist Zero and trapped on board a sinking ship with his girlfriend and 7 strangers who all kind of look like what would happen if the village people and Menudo had a baby in Shibuya. You have 9 hours to figure out why everyone seems to keep dying for some reason. 9 years ago, 4 scientists at a pharmaceutical company tortured children with Sudoku puzzles. For science! Their experiment to see how easily children burn after solving a Sudoku puzzle. The owner of the company is on the ship and he's trying to erase all evidence of murder through more murder. With the help of an amnesiac police officer, a brilliant hacker, and a blind kid with one arm who just won't give up, you save the day by trapping the CEO in one of his own Sudoku-activated incinerators. The day is saved, but just before you heroically escape, your girlfriend gets a fever, and then she disappears, and then you're knocked out with sleeping gas? The end? Wait, what the fuck? That was another bad ending! One more time. 999 is a gigantic waste of time for Nintendo Super Slam It on your cock box. The object of the game is to use a walkthrough to get the ending you want because there's no other fucking way to beat it. You play as Fuckface. You're captured by the mysterious terrorist Zero, and you have 9 hours to use the fast forward button to skip through poorly written walls of text that try to pass as a plot. You're trapped in a hotel in the middle of the desert with Schrodinger's girlfriend, the evil guy from the last ending, a raver, a blind gimp, a lonely schoolgirl, a brick shithouse, a pair of breasts, and a guy who dies in the first 10 seconds. Did we mention the breasts? They're kind of important. And none of these characters do anything important except die. It's like a Naruto reunion. Your girlfriend is actually the terrorist who kidnapped you, and she's also a psychic time walkie-talkie. It's your job to solve puzzles in the future so she doesn't die in the past, so that she can grow up to put you through this Saw-like torture porn. Oh, and there's an Egyptian pharaoh frozen in magic ice or some shit. I don't know. In the end, you solve a flaming upside-down Sudoku puzzle, and everyone takes a road trip to Las Vegas. The end. That was the good ending? I spent hours of my life doing math and reading hundreds of pages of text, and all I get for it is a passive-aggressive girlfriend, a broken-down car, and a congratulations? It's like fucking college all over again! No, just no. This is how it should have gone. 999 is a new puzzle game for the DS about a polite British professor and his apprentice who travel around London and solve mysteries. There! Fixed it for ya!
That was pretty stupid. Hey, how about something else that's really, really stupid? Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds is an anime about, in essence, card games on motorcycles. Thank you very much, Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. We are going to be stealing that joke a lot. The subtitle 5Ds is misleading because it implies that the show repeatedly stops just short of failure. Which is not the case. The show takes place in a dystopian future where, instead of weapons, disputes are resolved by card games on motorcycles.
Motor games on card cycles.
Games on motorcycles?
Card games on motorcycles. Seriously, the cops use this to pursue outlaws instead of, guns. It's not like it's, powerful magic that you need playing cards to cast. It's not powerful high-tech weapons you can only control by playing the game. The cards don't do anything. Okay, they create holograms, but really, it's literally just, everybody, card games on motorcycles. Now, if you lose the card game, your motorcycle does stop, but it's not because the motorcycles are powered by card games or something. They just built them that way. On purpose. The main character built his own motorcycle twice and intentionally installed a special device that cuts his engine when he loses. He could have just, not done that. I mean, I'm sure it's against the law or something to corrupt the sacred rules of duel monsters. So the cops might have tried to arrest him for building an illegal motorcycle. Oh wait, no, shit, they can't. They don't have guns. They are only with card games on motorcycles. And if their card games can't stop your motorcycles, then they are fucking powerless. I mean, one douchebag with a combustion engine could take over the whole world. So apparently some dumbass producer went to the and said, apparently card games are boring. We need to spice it up. How about you put them on motorcycles? And then the writers went out and failed to properly execute that concept. Their hook was card games on motorcycles, and they couldn't live up to that potential. Actually, if you want me to be honest, their hook was Cyborg tries to go back in time and kill everybody on motorcycles. They couldn't live up to that potential either. I mean, these guys couldn't make Yu-Gi-Oh! A fucking Terminator plotline. That's like if Nazis started the Holocaust, but then accidentally destroyed the Earth. Except before we found out about it, they sold the license to 4Kids. So, in America, the nukes are actually a thunderstorm machine. And instead of being dead, everyone was asleep under the glowing sky with a lollipop on motorcycles.
Did someone say crass commercialism? That must mean it's a word from one of our sponsors. Is your child wimpy, rail thin, uses the word moe in everyday conversation? Watched Kodomo no Jikon for the deep and involved plot? Well, fear no longer, for there is hope. Enroll him into the Ninotoku Juku, the Man Academy, where the men are men, the boys are men, and the girls are most likely men. Otokojuku is a nationally accredited place of learning with an internationally ranked program in manological studies. Students will learn the basics of manhood, from how to dress manly to how to eat manly. Classes include triumphing against the foreign devils, animal husbandry, sports medicine, resisting torture, esoteric martial arts, and penmanship. Enroll today and your child will get his very own oversized school uniform.
All right, so now we're on the subject of manly anime. It's time to spoil Cho Anarchy. Wait a minute, that can't be right. I was working really hard on this. I know I have my spoiler around here somewhere. Oh, there we go. Okay. Cho Anarchy is a series of games about, oh God, my eyes. My eyes, oh God, it burns so much. Help me, please. If you ever loved me, get a gun and let me die. I think it's in my brain now. There we are, Cho Anarchy.
I thought it would normally be kill him off earlier. So I just have to blame the brain fog that this put me in for what I'm about to do next, because I'm about to put you all through Twilight. Guys, it's so romantic. Edward Cullen and Bella Swan are in love. They bonded in the smoldering cauldron that is high school biology. But they really start to get together when Edward repeatedly saves Bella from a van, from a group of rapists, from perfectly nice human boys who just want to ask her to the prom. He ultimately saves her from an evil vampire who, before dying, bites Bella. Now, vampirism is transmitted through venom, so his bite would have made Bella into a vampire, which is the thing she wants most in the whole universe, says she already has a sparkly flying pony. But Edward sucks out the vamp venom and Bella remains human because these books are really all about abstinence. And if vampires represent sexuality, the climax of this book is a metaphor for that time you got drunk in junior year and dry humped the delinquent in your Spanish class. I was saying, through Bella's eyes, we meet the rest of the Cullens who have assorted, unfortunate human backstories. Okay, except for Emmett. All we really know about him is that he died fighting a bear, which is awesome. The Cullens mostly sort of have superpowers, in addition to being vampires. So once again, the clear winner is Emmett, with the power to fight bears. In the second book, New Moon, Edward plays his I'm breaking up with you, and it's really for the best card. Bella is so depressed we get 8 blank pages in the book. Instead of just, cutting her losses and going for the nice werewolf boy, Bella, I would. Bella throws herself off a cliff. Because, and I swear this is canon, extreme sports make her hallucinate vampires. Edward thinks she's dead and goes to Italy to see the vampire mafia about assisted drama queen suicide. Bella stops him just in time. All throughout this, Stephanie Myers tries to beat into our heads that this story is just like the vampire version of Romeo and Juliet. This is actually a fair comparison because Romeo and Juliet are pretty fucking stupid too. In the third book, Eclipse, we fall in love with Edward all over again when he rips parts out of Bella's truck so she can't go visit her werewolf boyfriend. A romantic gesture of which I haven't seen the light since the last time I watched a Lifetime movie. But at least when your boyfriend acts like a dick in a Lifetime movie, you'll be chasing him through the woods with an axe sometime in the next 90 minutes. This never happens in Eclipse. Instead, some evil vampire from the first book comes back and tries to kill Bella by making an army of evil vampires. It's really not important. She fails and dies pretty hard. And now that the only danger to Bella is herself, Edward and Bella get vampire engaged. And so we come at last to the last and most controversial book of the series, Breaking Dawn. Some say that this book is evidence that this entire series promotes a right-wing, pro-abstinence, anti-choice agenda, as everyone ends up in a heteronormative relationship, and we learn that women just need babies to be happy. if this is true, it's a pretty shitty promotion of that lifestyle. I mean, okay, yes, Edward and Bella wait to have sex until they're married, but the experience puts Bella in the hospital. It leaves Edward hating himself and never wanting to do it again. Oh, and Bella gets pregnant with a potentially evil half-breed monster baby that literally breaks her body and is delivered via her husband eating open her womb. Oh, and the baby will be physically fully grown at the age of 6 and will marry the dog. This is the happy ending. So, let me recap the life lessons I've learned through my journey here. I should have a stalker boyfriend, blank pages, jump off a cliff, commit assisted suicide, and get engaged to my stalker boyfriend, be hospitalized on my wedding night, have major surgery, become the mother of the Antichrist, and marry the dog. Jesus Christ! If this is what chastity and celibacy are like, I have never been prouder to be a slut.
Okay, so we briefly touched on Helsing the first time we did spoiler. So we already covered Nazis, and how Alucard slaughters them all, and Nazis, and Ceres' Victoria is hot, and Nazis, and the Catholic priest, and did we mention the Nazis? No? Okay. Well, to tell you the truth, we really don't have anything else to say about Helsing. And the entire skit, it is really just an excuse to show our token Nazi picture again. And here's one of them as clowns. And here's one of them on vacation. And here's one of them with a gorilla. Now, a few people have told us that our Nazi picture was getting old, so maybe it's time to switch it up a bit. I give you the new Nazi picture for the then upcoming spoiler 3, Nazis with a bear. Not a platypus bear or a kangaroo bear, just a bear. Weird.
And speaking of absolute nonsense, after making buck tons of money by releasing Pokemon Black and White on the DS instead of the 3DS, Nintendo has decided that it hates long-term profits and really prefers short-term gain. To demonstrate this, and to punish you for buying a 3DS, you stupid fucking douche, they have finally released the long-awaited third version of Pokemon Black and White, Pokemon Asian. Nintendo, however, has released an official statement that Asians living outside of Japan are just a myth. Instead, in the United States, the game will be split into 2 releases, known as Pokemon Darky and Pokemon Cracker. In these new games, you can choose to play as either the guy from Ancient Aliens or an upside-down Segway. With tits. You're tasked with the goal of adventuring through the Pokemon universe and collecting one of the absurdly massive number of Pokemon on your way to be the very best. The twist this time, as it is every time, is that you've already played this game. Along the way, you will encounter familiar faces from the last game, including Bianca, who's now hot, Sharon, who's now a gym leader, Elisa, who's now some kind of Lolita sex slave or something, and Skyla, who's had some work done. Once you beat the game, you learn that your professor was excited by your success, and he's proud to have watched you grow. You're rewarded by being told how much of your life you've wasted breeding your perfect Pokemon party when you could have just used a Game Shark. But fear not, Pokemon faithful, for there are 2 new games for your precious Nintendo 3DS, Pokemon X and Pokemon XXX.
Alright, so since we're already on some hardcore topics, let's spoil some hardcore Twelly. No, it's not just how Tweety Bird says his own name. It's an acronym for The World Ends With You. A game where you are an antisocial hipster jackass, and the rest of the world seems to have no purpose other than to be your gay fanfic buddy. So I guess a better title would be The World Ends With Your End? I don't know. After the game starts, Sora wakes up to find a timer on his hand. Riku stalks him silently and watches him until he meets Kairi. Crap, I was thinking of Tetsuya Nomura's other gay fanfic buddy game. The kid with the silver hair, big surprise, is evil. And bigger surprise is Jesus. And he wants to destroy the world for some reason that's never actually explained all that well. He kills you, and then wipes your memories, and then he makes you his dead boyfriend. And you help him destroy the world until the very end when he shoots you in the face for a second time. Then, for some equally inexplicable reason, he gets too bored with ultimate destruction to care anymore. And everyone lives happily ever after. Except for all the souls that got wiped from existence along the way. Twelly is known for its, oh my god, what the fuck, how am I supposed to do all this shit at the same time? Award-winning gameplay. Neku is controlled via the stylus in your right hand, and your partner is controlled with the directional buttons in your left hand. You hold the DS with your third hand, and if you really need to pause the game, you can press the start button with your cock. You even have to pause the game to end certain story battles, so cock use is not optional. Neku has to draw on the screen to activate psychic fashion accessories, while his partner has to dodge, change fighting styles, and activate combo strings on the top screen, all while playing a minigame involving shapes, poker, or math equations. You do this while building up a two-person combo tech and passing a green spirit puck back and forth to increase your damage and break through enemy defenses. Sound complicated?
Wow.
Well, don't worry, because out of battle, all you have to worry about is whether you have eaten today, how long it takes to digest your food, what you are wearing, where you wear it, why you are wearing it, how your pins are evolving, how many stickers you have gotten, whether or not you're doing well in Tin Pin Slammer, what to psychically implant into people's minds, what your current sync rate is, what the hell your sync rate does anyway, how to take pictures of the past, what your current mission objective is, how much time you have left, how the weather is doing, whether the ghetto kid is good or bad, how to decipher what the math teacher from hell is saying, where the green pigs are, where the blue pigs are, where the black pigs are, what the hell a taboo noise is, what your effective level is, what your actual level is, what difficulty you're playing on, how much the computer is aiding you, how the store owners like you, what time it is, what the airspeed of an unladen swallow is, whether or not you've turned the game off long enough to get XP, what the hell you are, why the hell you are playing a game that requires enough multitasking to make your nose bleed onto your touchscreen.
What the fuck?
Mentally ill characters with alternative sexualities, huh? That reminds me of a book series I read once. Yeah, The Wheel of Time. One person, I love you, you and me. So The Wheel of Time, well, if you go by the cover art, The Wheel of Time is a series about Randolph Thor. That would make sense, because Randolph Thor is King Arthur, and Tyr the Norse god. Yeah, and the Fisher King, and Jesus, and okay, pretty much every mythological hero except, of course, the one he's named after. But he's tall, and he's handsome, and in an unexpected twist, he's a redhead with 2 souls. And since it's, it's a fantasy novel, he's destined to save the world and stuff. But he can't, because actually, these books are about Egwene. Egwene is going to be the queen of all the witches. So saving the world will just have to wait, because these books ain't ending until she's on the witch throne. And Egwene is 16 when the series starts, and the average age to be queen of all the witches is like, 250, so yeah. Coming along for the ride are Perrin, who, unlike Randolph Thor, actually is Thor, because, woo, mythology! He was supposed to have his own side story where he saves his hometown from your standard asshole religious fanatics. And also Man-Bear Pig. After 1,218,195 words, the town is saved. And Perrin's plot is over, and all that's left is to help Rand save the world. But Rand can't save the world yet, because Egwene is not yet the queen of all the witches. So Perrin spends like 6 books wandering randomly around the countryside, hitting things with a hammer, until every hot female political leader on the continent has a crush on him. Meanwhile, there's Matt, who is Odin, with the side of Gwydion and Gustavus Adolphus. His plot is to go to Fairyland, become a great general, and bang as many evil women as possible. This takes a whole 1,961,568 words. After that, all he has left to do is lead the good guys' armies in the last battle. Oh, and single-handedly invent gunpowder warfare. But he has to wait for Perrin to bring the people to be in the army, and Perrin has to wait for Rand to be ready to save the world, and Rand can't save the world until Egwene is queen of all the witches. So the author drops a building on that and just, leaves it there for a couple of books until he thinks of something for him to do. Then there's Moraine, who is captured by fairies until she gets rescued by Matt on the eve of the last battle. But it can't be the eve of the last battle until Perrin builds Matt his army. And Perrin can't build the army until Rand is ready to save the world, and Rand won't save the world until Egwene is queen of all the witches. Then, of course, there's good old Tom Merlin, his actual name, by the way. He's going to marry Moraine. But he can't do that until Matt rescues her from the fairies, and Matt can't do that until Perrin raises his army, and Perrin can't do that until Rand's ready to save the world, and Rand can't do that until Egwene is queen of all the goddamn witches. And after 3,430,382 words of this, the author dies of natural causes. So Tor Book says, who can we get to finish a series where the main character is a bug-nuts crazy wizard Jesus with 3 wives? I know. Let's get a Mormon. Mormons solve all our literary problems. And he did, because as soon as this other guy picks up the series, you know what he does? No! He makes Egwene the queen of all the goddamn witches! And Rand says, oh hey, I should probably stop being crazy and save the world now. And Perrin says, oh hey, so we're saving the world now? Cool. One army coming right up. And Matt says, okay, so I've got an army to lead tomorrow. Why don't I just stab those fairies real quick? And Moraine says, hey, Tom Merlin, I'm done with my 2-year soul-raping kidnap ordeal. Wanna get hitched? And Tom Merlin says, score. Stockholm Syndrome. And in the last book of the series, Rand works through the sins of his past life, kills Satan, dies, comes back to life after 3 days, and discovers that while he was asleep, the author just went ahead and, killed Egwene off. Wait, what? I plowed through 4,414,936 words. I watched characters I actually liked run around in circles like idiots, because Egwene was not yet the queen of all the witches, and then, when she finally gets her ass on the witch throne, the author stuffs her in a fridge. Egwene didn't even do anything as queen of all the witches. She could have done her entire plot while still being that nobody girl from the first village that sold copper armor. I wasted 10 years of my life and several $100s to read a series about a girl who grows up, becomes a witch queen, but before she does anything cool, she dies. The end. If the original author were dead, you know what? Let's dig him up and kill him again. Who's with me?
And now for something else immortal. Lupin the Third. Lupin the Third is a continuing series that simultaneously never ages and is still somehow stuck in the 70s. Despite being a very thin man in skinny trousers, Lupin himself has unlimited space for a gun, smoke bombs, inflatable dolls of himself, fake versions of whatever he's just stolen, a hologram projector, and self-replicating face masks of Inspector Zenigata. Lupin does not merely use hammer space. Oh no, he owns beachfront property there. Goemon's sword can cut through anything. Buildings, planes, the New York subway system, anything. As you can imagine, this comes in very handy from time to time. Anytime there is a busty woman in the room, it is Fujiko. I don't even care if Fujiko is already in the room. One of them is a fucking hologram or some shit. And finally, the seriousness of any episode can be judged by how many times you see Jeekin's eyes. 0 to 1, hard-boiled crime drama. People will die. More than 4? Well then, Lupin and the gang are gonna steal the crown jewels off a giant cat who rules over a city of clowns.
Yep. At Spoiler, we appreciate all the classics. And now it's time to spoil Hell's Fist of the North Star. What makes a man? Is it the woman in his arms, just because she has big titties? Or is it the way that he fights every day? No, it's probably the titties. As much as I hate to admit, Kenshiro goes on his epic quest not just to protect the downtrodden and huddled masses, but because of titties. Yuria's titties, to be precise. Kenshiro eventually finds his titties and kicks some ass, but unfortunately, titties is dead. And so he wanders aimlessly, committing random acts of kindness, like some kind of unstoppable walking death machine of kindness. Then he fights a bunch of dudes, who all pretty much work for his bigger and arguably more interesting brother, Rao. Then he fights, wait, what's this guy's name? Hauser? Well, whoever the fuck he is, he's a would-be warlord with serious abandonment issues who is apparently immune to Ken's head explode foo. His head gets exploded anyway. Then Kenshiro gets a call. Titties has actually been alive all this time, and she wants to see him again. But before his earth-shaking final battle with Kenshiro, Rao finds Titties first and seemingly kills her. But he actually prolonged her life so she and Kenshiro can spend a few more years together before she succumbs to radiation poisoning. Much like the plot of this show once it became Fist of the North Star 2. Oh god, is that Comic Sans?
So unfortunately, one of the founding members of Disorganization XIII, and spoiler itself, Rob, is no longer with us. But in his memory, we've decided to play one of the first spoilers ever performed. These are the classic Final Fantasy bits from Final Fantasy 1 to 6. So please give it up for Hologram Rob, courtesy of YouTube. Sound. There's no sound. There's like actively no sound. No.
The reason that Final Fantasy is called Final. Supposedly, the reason that Final Fantasy is called Final Fantasy is that it was Squaresoft's last chance release before going bankrupt, back in the days when games had 8 bits and no room on the cartridge for actual plots. The heroes of FF1 were generic D&D ripoffs wrapped around some kind of weird causality violation, which was almost a plot, and so the game was better than everything else on the market and became wildly popular. Realizing they were onto a good thing, Square went on to put out 2 dozen more Final Fantasy games about generic D&D ripoffs, usually featuring more causality violations with the occasional break for aliens and zombies. By now, the original explanation for the name is wearing pretty thin, especially since Square merged with another RPG developer and emerged as the immortal god monster men known as Squeenix. The real reason it's called Final Fantasy is that they're going to keep putting out these damn games until the sun goes dark and all the works of mortals are drowned in the infinite cold of the final night. The first 2 sequels didn't make it to America because at the time it was unconstitutional for Japan to perform hostile acts in foreign territory. Final Fantasy II. No, that's 4. This is 2. Final Fantasy II had a great story about an empire and a rebellion and treason and friendship and courage, but no one ever finished this story because after 5 hours of having to get the crap beaten out of him to increase his hit points, the player gouges his eyes out with the pointy corners of his badly designed NES controller. Final Fantasy III, on the other hand, was a marvel of smooth and interesting gameplay, a lot like FF1 with better menus and a job system. It was about 4 identical quadruplets with no names. I wish I was kidding. You have to find crystals or something, and an airship. Actually, the 2 of them together might have made one good game, but when they finally came over, Square just fixed the system for 2 and wrote a plot for 3, which happily means that none of you have any idea whether I'm making this shit up. Now we have FF4, the first game in the series to write a main cast larger than the maximum party size. Unfortunately, the first game in the series to let the player control character switching was FF6, which means they had to come up with ways to get rid of the old characters. Your party will be burned, drowned, turned to stone, and blown up in various interesting ways, but they somehow all turn out to have survived, even when you didn't want them to. Except for Tom. In other news, Cecil is an alien and Golbez is his brother. Final Fantasy V, the game you've never played. You claim to have played it because it gives you geek credit. People think you played a Japan-only game, but you're lying. They were going to bring this one to America, but when the airship captain found out what it was about, he got drunk and instead brought it to Ecuador. FF5 brought the job system back, which was great, but the main character's name is Butts. And the plot only goes downhill from there. The final boss is called X-Death, which means exactly what it sounds like. He used to be dead. You go through the last dungeon, psyching yourself up to fight this badass Lich King, and it turns out his true form is a plant. And it's not even a cool plant, like a cactus, or a Venus flytrap, or Vash the Stampede. It is, in fact, a tree. But wait, the last boss in an FF game always has more than one form, and sure enough, beat up the tree and it turns into a bigger tree. That makes Final Fantasy V the biggest letdown in video gaming since World 7, 4, and Super Mario Bros. Finally, we have Final Fantasy VI, the game rated the best Final Fantasy ever by the American Association of Gamers who only play the first 5 minutes. The opening implies that your characters will get to wield guns and ride giant robots. Once the player is firmly attached to the controller by a petrified stream of his own drool, the plot veers sharply back into the same old Squaresoft shtick. You control a ragtag team of heroes who band together to save the world from the evil empire of Vector. But once you defeat Vector, it turns out there's a greater enemy. No, clowns. So anyway, you have to keep the clowns from destroying the world. You fail. But it's okay, because Ragnarok is no more than a mild inconvenience. Everyone you love and care about comes through perfectly fine. In the best Final Fantasy tradition, even people you hate and want to get rid of come through perfectly fine. This tradition was broken in later games, but not nearly often enough. In fact, once the world is destroyed, you get even more useless characters, including an insane clown of your very own. At this point, it doesn't even matter how the story goes, because they had to write the dialogue for 1001 possible parties, which is a writer's version of shooting yourself in the foot with a nuclear missile. Give me ninjas on the moon any day.
Hologram Rob, everybody. So, you like the Final Fantasy spoilers? Yeah. Alright, let's do one more. Final Fantasy VII, everybody.
Man, that game is old enough to enlist in the army now with parental permission.
Alright, at this point we'd actually like to invite Adam Hennessy up here to do one of his and our favorite spoilers. So Adam, if you would. Alright, script. Is there. To there. Okay. And I'll put
There we go, okay. Secret Lord of Fandom and Magistrate. I like that. In kimono or not in kimono. You did that so I'd read it, didn't you?
Yes.
I figured you would have. Here's another epic tale of epicness, Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur 5 just came out, and before we can get into our current tale of breast physics and I like food, we need to spoil the original. Epic tales of souls and swords eternally retold, and there's only one person who could do that, Tautology Man. The same man who brought us statements such as, victory belongs to the last one standing. Only the victor may proceed onward, and a warrior desires a sword, and a sword desires another sword. So here goes. A long time ago, it was a long time ago. A man seeking power made twin swords, two of them that were powerful, and also he made them. One was an evil blade known as the Soul Edge, responsible for corrupting men's souls and inspiring demonic bloodthirst in ancient warriors of old. The other was not. The Soul Edge corrupted Siegfried's soul, which as a result was corrupted by the Soul Edge, and now the corrupt and the now corrupt soul of Siegfried that was corrupted by the Soul Edge became corrupt by the Soul Edge. Siegfried eventually broke free from the Soul Edge's hold with the power of the holy sword, Soul Calibur, but his armor continued living on as the Dark Knight Nightmare, and so he hunts Nightmare in an attempt to right his wrongs and destroy the Soul Edge once and for all. And also, that happened. He must succeed in this quest, or else he will fail. That summary of Soul Calibur pretty much sums up Soul Calibur.
Adam Hennessy, everybody.
I can never get together with this great
I should have practiced before I came.
We should have too. And
Don't tell them our secrets. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled spoilers, where we will be traveling somewhere new, somewhere fascinating. Space. The final frontier. Well, okay, not the final frontier. There's still the future, the past, the alternate future, the alternate past, other dimensions, holographic reality, and apotheosis into a higher plane of existence. But space is really far down the list of frontiers, okay? It's near the end. Anyway, These are the voyages of the starships Enterprise. These are also the enterprises of the Starship Voyager, and the sessile adventures no one watched of Starbase Deep Space Nine. See, space is big, right? So there's room for a lot of stuff. With all of space to draw on, we can tell a lot of stories. Like, say, remember the one with the mysterious energy field? Or the one where they encounter that godlike space being. And what about the one where they meet those aliens, you know, the ones who conveniently analog a present-day socio-political issue? And there's so many more. The one on the holodeck, the one about time travel, the one where that militant alien race gets all uppity, the one where the captain falls in love, the one with the tribbles, the one where Picard was like double Picard. Oh, and the one where Wesley Crusher fucked everything up. That was great. So yeah, there's no way I can spoil 700 different stories. We'd run out of time. But hey, maybe next year we'll spoil the new J.J. Abrams movie.
Sci-fi classics. So, for the none of you who haven't seen Evangelion yet, the gist of it is this. Boy comes to the big city. Boy gets picked up by a hot babe. Boy climbs into a robot and kicks some alien ass. Then the director goes off his Prozac and can't be asked to explain how his own show ends. So after sitting through the entire TV series, 2 movies, and Cutie Honey, he finally came back to writing about terminally depressed teenagers who save the world and stuff. Now, I know the term gets bandied about an awful lot thanks to certain terrible-ass websites, but Evangelion really is a deconstruction of pretty much all the popular mech shows that came before it. Shinji turns out pretty much how you'd think a child soldier with absent parents and very few positive adult role models in his life would. He's kind of fucked up. He's awkward as hell, has no self-esteem whatsoever, he risks life and limb to get the approval of his father, and, in another universe, masturbated onto a comatose girl. You Are Not Alone rehashes the first quarter of the TV series, and, to be honest, doesn't really cover a whole lot of new ground. Shinji fights angels, but this time they explode into showers of blood when they die. He has trouble in school, runs away from home, comes back, then fights a giant Rubik's Cube. Then Kaoru is naked on the moon. Cue end credits. Now, before I get to part 2, I'm gonna need you to do some preparing, so have another spoiler.
So now let's take a little break from the giant robots for a little bit more of a human story. Gurren Lagann is a show about a manly man. A manly man with manly spirit. A manly man with manly spirit who battles against fate. A manly man with manly spirit who battles against fate and then dies in the 8th episode. Wait, he dies in the 8th episode? Seriously? Is the show 8 episodes long? The fuck is the rest of the show about? Oh, Ray is a bitch.
Oh man, did I just dream that Simone was the lead of Gurren Lagann? Well, okay. Advancing on to 2.0, the second Evangelion movie starts with Kaji and What's-Her-Tits. No, seriously, there is no mention of her name at all in the whole movie. And anyone who knows that her name is Mari, illustrious, self-insert, original character, do not steal, Makanami, has outed themselves as a gigantic nerd. Well, shit. So after What's-Her-Tits fights a skeleton snake, a completely different Asuka, gets introduced by killing a giant drinking bird and being an absolute bitch to Shinji on the anniversary of his mom's death. She moves in, and then hijinks ensue. So instead of Toji getting into Eva Unit 3 and getting horribly maimed, this time it's Asuka, who's wearing saran wrap. And after Shinji gets pissed off and quits Nerve, a giant paper doll attacks. What's-Her-Tits shows up pretty much out of nowhere and gets to be even more competent in Eva than Asuka in that same situation. And gets her ass handed to her anyway. Then it eats Rei and turns into a giant naked woman. And so, it's up to Shinji to climb back in the saddle and fight for mankind's survival. And incidentally, rescue his love interest from inside a giant naked woman. And he does that. He does that. I think. Then he throws a rave party. I guess. And then after the credits, Kaoru crashes Shinji's Geofront rave with a spear through the chest. Then there's a preview for the next movie, where Shinji and Rei are stuck in an Eva. Kaoru is talking to people, and Asuka rocks an eye patch. The end. Raise your hand if you saw this at Otakon. Wink. Yeah?
No one. Okay, cool. Okay. And finally, we have everyone's favorite piece of Japanese anime ass, Outlaw Star. Outlaw Star wants to be this epic sci-fi drama, but it's really just an excuse to mash up, cat girls, space pirates, and some deep existential philosophy of boobs, boobs, boobs. I mean, it's kind of like how .hack really wants to be an MMO, but isn't. It's more like what World of Warcraft would be like if it were gay and killed people. Instead of being straight and killing people. Also, there are like pedophiles or something. Wait, this isn't a spoiler for .hack. It's a spoiler for Outlaw Star, which is kind of an amalgam anime, taking aspects from Cowboy Bebop and Kenshin and Ghost in the Shell and Escaflowne, and then putting it in a blender with some shit about a treasure galaxy and cat girls. The result is a delightful urine-flavored milkshake, which slightly resembles a Japanese version of Star Trek. But the most badass part of the show is the gun of the main character, Jean, which shoots magic bullets.
Too soon?
So you weren't even born yet, shut up.
This is a large improvement over the magic-powered gun featured in Final Fantasy Unlimited, which ran solely off the power of dramatic monologue. Volume.
Remember when we thought this show was good?
I never thought the show was good.
This is a really long firing sequence.
Notice how his enemies are just sort of standing around waiting on them.
Is this actually longer than Knights of the Round?
No.
Still hasn't fired yet.
He's thinking about it though.
The joke was supposed to be he fires the gun and then rickroll. But what the heck happened to the audio? Wow! Oh my god!
Why is everything suddenly so quiet?
What? I can't hear you!
Okay. killed by the gunshot sound. So screw that joke. Yeah.
It's the best of spoiler the panel.
So, normally we would end there, but we were a little traumatized by that. So we have one more spoiler for you.
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh God. Okay, so we still have time. Let's spoil one last thing. Let's spoil every shonen anime ever. I'm afraid of doing another Rickroll. Whoever's working the audio back there, you have perfect anti-Rickroll powers. Because you scared the bejesus out of us.
Don't do it again. I'm afraid the speaker's gonna transform and strangle me.
So,
Slender Man isn't scary.
time to spoil every shonen anime ever. We start out with a lovable and goofy main character. Hey, shh, sit down.
This is a performance
Sit down.
panel.
We start out with a lovable and goofy main character, with an IQ equivalent to the IQ of the show's fan base, which is to say, not that large.
Oh, look, I think we offended somebody.
He had a fucked up past, but you won't actually find out about his fucked up past until a couple of seasons later, where it's revealed that he's actually a demon fox, fruit alien death god assassin. And even though having all these powers means he gets to do cool things like fly and transform and control the elements themselves, being an almost invulnerable badass makes him sad and lonely and outcast and other bad fan fiction tropes. Until his dark past is revealed, the only thing he will do is yell a lot, eat a lot, and generally act awkward toward the opposite sex. Mostly because the part of his brain that should be devoted to procreation is instead devoted to muscles. Some of you may be wondering why I'm not making jokes about how homoerotic all this shonen muscle bulging is, but frankly making gay jokes about shonen anime is kind of a cheap shot. It's not funny. Also, we have a long way to go, and I can only think of so many porno spoof names for shonen anime. So there. In season 1 of every shonen anime ever, it's revealed that our hero is weak, or a misfit, or mentally retarded. Most of the time, it's all three at once. Despite his status as the guy who trips over his own feet and farts in ninja class, he will one day grow up to be the most powerful being in the universe by awakening the dark forbidden powers that lay dormant inside him. This may be impressive now, but will become really boring and routine next season. Oh yeah, and I'll say that our hero's new power is a power that no one else can use at this point, but by next season even the minor characters are pulling it off. And so our hero steals the forbidden ninja scroll of pirate ship Forbidden Alchemy Goku's son, before proving himself by fighting some characters that are supposed to be really important and powerful, but never show up in any meaningful way again. Then our main character dies, or someone important to him dies, or both, I don't know. But he comes back from the dead when the producers fired the good writers who remembered that a story needs a beginning, middle, and end, and hired some other writers that are willing to do 200 more episodes of the shit. Then our hero meets the first of his many slashpick pairings, the rivals, the slashpick rivals. This will either be a trusted ally that will someday turn evil, or a deadly enemy that will someday turn good. Or sometimes it's both. Or sometimes it happens so often that I want to shoot myself in the face. Then our hero has to face his first real challenge, an evil badass that is way out of his league. A bunch of wacky support characters attempt to fight Mr. Badass, but they are pwned. They are pwned but good. Sometimes off camera. It looks like our hero is going to be defeated until he pulls out his new secret technique, the Gomu Gomu Spirit Rasen Kaio Getsuga Extra Special Deluxe Burning Finger. Mr. Badass, even sorry. This defeats Mr. Badass, even though he could have won the fight right in the beginning if he just blew up the planet, or the universe, or the afterlife, or wherever the fuck they are in Toriko. But wait, Mr. Badass wasn't the real villain after all. The real villain is Mr. Bad Penis, who is like 10 times more powerful than Mr. Badass, and our hero is going to have to fight him, but only after enough preparation time for one cinematically appropriate training montage, and about 30 episodes of filler where he eats ramen, drives a car, and fights vampires for some reason. It's about this time that we hear the fans say the manga is better, except most of these fans have never even read the manga, or any book for that matter. In fact, most of them are still listening to the English dub and suffering through the episode where Naruto farts on a beetle. Then when the smartest of us are just about to give up on the series and cash in our penises to watch Madoka Magica, the showdown with Mr. Bad Penis begins. And the exact same shit that happened last season happens again. Except this time our hero's signature attack no longer works, so instead he has to power up to Super Sage Mode Gear 3 Bankai Megazord. And with this brand new power, he defeats Mr. Bad Penis, only to reveal a yet more powerful threat to the Earth, and are you sensing a pattern here? An incredibly frustrating and poorly written pattern that eventually ends with someone screaming, "Weighted training clothes do not work that way." So just copy and paste my last paragraph over and over again until the villains can destroy the universe by thinking about it, and our heroes are now red gorillas for some reason. In shonen anime, the whole plot repeats itself, and nothing ever actually changes, right down to the main character's catchphrases. Even at episode 557, Luffy will still say, "I'm gonna be king of the pirates." Naruto will still say, "Believe it." And Ichigo will still say, "Man, I wish my anime was still relevant." And that's Spoiler the Panel, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. We had a good time doing this for you. We're probably going to end up taking a break next year, but we really want to thank you guys for supporting us all these many years for our stupid jokes.
I thought they were pretty stupid.
They were pretty stupid. Come to our website at www.disorganization-13.com. Tell us what you want us to spoil, and hopefully we'll see you in a year or two. But until then, enjoy the rest of your con, and we hope you have a great time.